This is Season 7, Episode 134 of the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast.
Sometimes the important thing is not the number of miles you've driven, but what's going on inside your head while driving. The Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast will stimulate your mind and keep you company while on the road. Join us for education, motivation, and inspiration from wherever you may be in our nation. You'll hear roundtable discussions about important information that's impacting our industry. Plus, you'll learn more about new technology, equipment, driving opportunities, safety, and operations. Get driver success and fitness tips to keep you profitable, safe, healthy, as well as entertaining stories from the road. And don't you know, we've all got a few of those. We might be traveling in different directions, but we're all part of one driver community at the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. With your host, trucker Tim Cicciarelli.
Well, hello once again, friends. Tim Cicciarelli here, otherwise known as Trucker Tim, your host of the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. This is episode 134, and thank you so much for letting me keep you company today. On the way, we're going to get to know one of our colleagues here at Stevens Transport on a more personal level. You know him as Chris Brinkley in truck sales, but we're going to get to know who Chris is outside the building here at Stevens Transport and what his interests are, including a side hustle he has going on that you just might benefit from. Stick around for our Stevens Spotlight with Chris Brinkley coming up in just a little while. We're also going to tip that big 10-gallon Stevens cap in appreciation for those drivers who have completed their leases in January. That is a big accomplishment, and we're going to celebrate each and every one of them. Speaking of lease completions, coming up, we're going to be celebrating some team drivers who just received their third lease completion bonus and are the newest members of the Stevens Transport Hall of Fame. Tipping that big 10-gallon Stevens cap in appreciation to these team drivers coming up in just a few moments. We're also going to pull some audio from video you can find on the Stevens Transport YouTube channel with our driver spotlight. But right now, if you are one of those who are using this podcast as a way to research which industry you want to go into, a way to research which company you want to hitch your wagon to, and a way to research how you can make some money, how does no credit check and 0% interest on a truck sound for you to start your own business and unlock your trucking dream? If you want some information on that, we have it for you right now with our friend Brett Cortopassi with our Stevens Roundtable. For those of you who are thinking about becoming a driver, for those of you who are thinking about becoming a driver for Stevens Transport, and we're going to take it a step further. For those of you who are thinking about becoming an owner-operator and maybe starting your own business, and who knows, having a fleet of trucks. The dream is a reality if you come to Stevens Transport, because we're going to teach you how to do it. We've got business consultants that'll show you how to do it. We've got Brett Cortopassi, our director of our Contractor Division, back with us here, I think for maybe the 5th, 6th, or 7th time in the podcast. Good to see you again, buddy.
Great to see you.
Every time we get together, we learn a little bit more about how drivers can change the trajectory of their career and their life by becoming an owner-operator and starting their own business and leasing a truck, or maybe even going the lease purchase route. So for those who we might have piqued their interest, Brett, with the topic of this segment, fill us in on how our drivers can really change their lives with our Contractor Division.
Yeah, so when we first bring an independent contractor in, we bring him in on a lease. We ask that you lease for about a year from us. After that year, you are opened up to new possibilities when it comes to owning a truck.
After a year, is that just because we need a little bit of time to see if people are serious about this commitment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Couple of different things. One, we don't do any kind of credit checks from a background standpoint.
Don't let that statement slip by, folks. That's kind of a big statement.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
We don't run any kind of credit check.
Mm-hmm.
What we do, the check that we're looking at is we're looking at your profitability and how successful you've been as an independent contractor with us. So we want to see a year as an independent contractor with us. And then if your dream is to own a truck, Like, we have those options. We really have two different paths. You can go down the path of purchasing a used truck, or you can go down the path of purchasing a new truck. Purchasing a new truck is through our lease purchase program, which has very few barriers of entry into it. We ask for a $4,000 down, which most independent contractors will end up using their lease completion bonus for.
Awesome.
And to take it a step farther, we'll even lease complete you early if you're going to use your lease completion bonus towards that down payment. So you're a year and a half into a 2-year lease. You've probably got the $4,000 already built up into your lease completion bonus.
Sure.
I'll let you lease complete it early and use the first $4,000 of it towards the purchase of the truck. So you're putting $4,000 down, and then just like a lease, you're still making a truck note for the next either 3 or 4 years, which are the two different terms that we do. The payment and the fixed cost as a whole works out to very similar to what your lease is, so it doesn't really change as far as your expenses or any of that. And then after that, either the 3 or 4 years, depending on which amount of time that you're wanting to do, you owe a lump sum at the end. So most independent contractors are either saving up for that or we're able to finance out that last year too, which just tacks on one remaining year, at which point you own the truck. Like $195,000 truck, it's yours. Title, it's in your name, it's all yours.
That's incredible, that path that you can have something of such value, a revenue generator for you and a business expense as well. And you did say, you're putting money away to do that. And that might be a daunting task for some people, but your team, you have business consultants that show them how to do it and the percentages to put down. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So one last thing about the lease purchases, when you're making those payments, this is all at 0%. too. So there's not an interest rate here. So your $4,000
it's all principal.
down, you're essentially making a principal payment for the next 3 or 4 years. And then you're making a lump sum at the end that, like I said, you either saved up for, or we can finance out that last year to you. There's nowhere else that you're going to go buy a truck for 0%. It's just not going to
without
happen.
a credit check.
Without a credit check. Absolutely.
Or even a job.
Yeah.
Because you're giving them that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, as a contracted driver, for Stevens Transport, you don't even have to have a sales team to get the loads. The loads are here. And so if I'm new to the podcast, if I'm thinking about becoming a driver, entering logistics, entering transportation, entering this industry as a whole, I'm thinking, Brett, what's the catch? Now, you said at the beginning, didn't you? The catch is you just got to work hard and show that you can be profitable.
Yeah, like I said, we want to see a year of success, which is just about hard work. It's about using your team. It's about communicating with your team. You have resources here to make sure that you're successful. And, this
resources that don't cost any money to you either.
Correct. Yeah. Stevens Transport's been here for, almost 50 years. We've got this system figured out, right?
Yeah.
We know, the freight's going to be there. We know we're going to be able to keep you moving. And we've built a system that is built for you to succeed.
So there is no catch.
No catch.
There's no catch.
No.
Just come work hard, and all the steps are laid out for you, and you could be an owner-operator and own either a used truck or go through the lease purchase and have a brand new truck in just a few short years with no credit check and 0% interest.
There you go.
It almost sounds too good to be true, Brett, but it ain't.
It ain't, yeah.
All right, Brett Cortopassi, always good to have him back. He always has a new spin on what's happening over there in the Contractor Division, of which he is the director of. So, Brett, good to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Awesome. Thank you.
And what a terrific segue from talking to Brett Cortopassi about becoming an independent contractor to celebrating our independent contractor team of Igustor and Tijuana McPherson. This dynamic duo has much to celebrate, and we are tipping that big 10-gallon Stevens cap in appreciation for a job well done. After receiving their third lease completion bonus, Igustor and Tijuana were inducted into the Stevens Transport Hall of Fame. That's the HAUL of Fame. That means they have logged 1 million miles, and they join a prestigious group of drivers that represent dedication, motivation, and professionalism. Be on the lookout. Coming up soon in the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio podcast, we will have a driver spotlight on the way in the coming weeks. So again, congratulations to independent contractor team Igustor and Tijuana McPherson. We are going to be celebrating more of those drivers who have completed their lease in the month of January coming up in just a little bit. We're also going to have our Stevens Spotlight And when we come right back, a driver spotlight, some audio we pulled from a video you can find on our Stevens Transport YouTube channel. That's all on the way on the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast.
Ever wondered what it's like to drive across the country and get paid to see America's breathtaking landscapes? Welcome to life as a team driver with Stevens Transport. The life of a trucker can sometimes feel solitary, but with team driving, you're never alone. Let's dive into how teaming up with another driver can transform your trucking career. So what exactly is team driving? Simply put, it's when two drivers share the responsibilities of operating the same truck. This allows for continuous travel and efficient delivery. Federal regulations require solo drivers to be off-duty for at least 10 consecutive hours after 11 hours of driving. Team driving, however, maximizes productivity by alternating driving shifts, cutting down on overall trip times. By working in shifts, team drivers can cover over 5,500 miles a week. That's more than double what solo drivers can achieve, leading to more priority loads and higher earnings. Efficiency is key. With two drivers, tasks like loading and unloading become quicker and easier. Plus, you'll earn more per mile. One of the greatest perks? You get to choose your driving partner, whether it's a close friend or a new acquaintance. Having a partner on the road makes those long hauls more enjoyable. And what about rest? Team drivers sleep in comfy bunk beds while the truck is moving, allowing for nearly non-stop travel without sacrificing sleep. Safety is another major advantage. With two drivers, there's an added layer of oversight to ensure committed safety. So, if you're ready to take your trucking career to the next level, consider team driving with Stevens Transport. It's the perfect blend of companionship, efficiency, and increased earnings. Explore the benefits of team driving and start your adventure today with Stevens Transport. Apply now and join a team that drives you to success.
Now more than ever, truck drivers are true American heroes. The men and women who literally keep America moving by delivering goods across the country. Being a professional driver is a rewarding, financially lucrative, long-term career filled with exciting adventures. A career where you'll never have to worry about job security. If you have your CDL and keep it up, it will sustain you for the long haul. You can see the country, serve your country, and provide a good life for your family. Whether you'd rather haul on a dedicated route or lane, or prefer working with one specific customer, if you want to own your business, we have a program that sets you up for success with all the tools and support you need. We've got opportunities in our intermodal rail division and have programs to help military veterans transition into trucking careers. We have second generations of drivers whose parents have driven for Stevens, who then trained their children and are now truck drivers. Some are even small fleet owners. So, whatever your dream is, you can achieve it right here at Stevens. If you're looking for a company with a 40-plus year track record that's never had a layoff and just had the largest pay increase in company history for both new and experienced drivers, Stevens Transport has you covered. We offer the finest tools and technology and provide our drivers with the best, state-of-the-art equipment on the market. Our infrastructure will support you both on and off the road. As a driver for Stevens, you become part of our family. Many companies throw the word family around. We're family-owned, family-run, and family-driven. Our 40-plus years of success is built on family. At Stevens, you're not just a number. Our drivers are part of our extended family, and we recognize and honor them every chance we get. If you want to be among the top income earners among professional drivers, if you want great benefits, if you want to have every type of driving opportunity at your fingertips, if you want to be part of a company that will stand behind you and ensure your success, come join the Stevens Transport family today and become an American hero. So, what are you waiting for? Take the first step toward your future career with the best trucking company in America. Become part of the Stevens Transport family today by calling our recruiting department at 1-800-333-8595 or apply online at stevenstransport.com.
Welcome back to the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. My name is Tim Cicciarelli, otherwise known as Trucker Tim, and thanks so much for letting me sit shotgun with you today. Hey, listen, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, download, or follow this podcast from whichever podcast platform you're enjoying it from. We are everywhere. This podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible, Amazon Music, you name it. If it's a podcast platform, the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast is there. Please hit that follow, subscribe, and download button. It will help us to continue to bring you all the information you need to know what's going on at Stevens Transport. And for those of you who might be looking for a new career in transportation, and we hope this podcast will help you become familiar with the culture at Stevens, because we would love to have you become a part of our team. And we are going to spotlight a driver that we are very proud to have as a part of our team. This driver shares insights into his journey as a truck driver, from earning his CDL to transitioning to a contract driver here at Stevens Transport. Seems we have a theme today. This driver offers advice for those starting out in the industry and reflects on the motivation and tips he received as an aspiring driver. This is the story of Devin Dean.
My name is Devin Dean. I'm with the Contractor Division with Stevens Transport. Been OTR over 3 years, going on 4 years. I got my CDL December of 2019. It was around the time COVID was just starting up, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. Everybody were starting to work from home, jobs were closing, and I got a call from Stevens Transport, apparently out the blue. I don't even know how it happened. It just happened. I got a call. Yeah, I was in the process of losing my place and everything, and they ended up calling me, saying that they see that I have been inquiring about driving trucks, I guess from my recent searches online. Now, I probably did fill out a short form somewhere that made them call me, but it was perfect time, and it was right on point, right on time, and it saved me. It just made more sense. The same miles that I would do for a load, I would get paid more doing it as a contractor than I would do as a company driver, and it just made more sense. You know, I don't really have too many things at home holding me back, like kids or marriage or anything, so I stayed out on the road for my whole first year. Didn't go home not one time. Stayed out there the whole entire. It was exciting, for one, to see so many parts of the country I thought I would never see. So that was one of the things that made me become a contractor. When you start driving as a new driver, save your money, because down the line, it's no telling what might come up against you. So you want to be prepared for all of these things. Every day is a blessing. This is something I never thought I would do or had any experience in. So of course I had hiccups along the way, like most drivers do when you first start out with something new. You know, you're gonna mess up here and there. And the fact that I'm still here, that the people at this company could see where I'm coming from and see where I came from and still work with me to make sure I can get better instead of just disregarding me and just letting me just flow with the wind. It feels good. It feels good. And I'm thankful every day.
Thank you, Devin, for sharing your story. That is audio you can find from a video from our Stevens Transport YouTube channel. We will have a link to that video in the episode notes. It's our Stevens Spotlight. This segment allows you, our audience, to get to know some of the people here in the building, out on the yard, in their trucks on a more personal level, who they are outside of Stevens Transport. And joining us right now is Chris Brinkley. Chris, good to see you again.
Hey, good to see you.
How long you been at Stevens?
8 years.
8 years in February
Yeah.
of 2025. He's pretty close to being in our legendary status, so we might have to add him to our new legend series. But first, Chris, we've had you on in the past, and talking about the market for trucks, getting trucks for our independent contractors, and what a busy man you are in juggling that. Of course.
I don't know how busy I am, but it's good. It's good. It's good helping people.
It's good helping people, helping our drivers start new careers at Stevens Transport as independent contractor. But, we want to get to know you, Chris, on a more personal level. Tell us about your family life.
My family, so I have 3 kids, 22, 20, and 11.
So 3 kids, you're busy.
Oh, yeah.
Even though the others are out of high school, are they going to school somewhere? Are they starting their careers? What are they doing?
No, actually, so my son is a MMA fighter. My daughter, she's a truck salesperson too.
Fall in her daddy's footsteps.
Yeah. Hey, it's the easiest thing we found that we could be successful with. So,
Well, let's back up. I'm sorry not to take anything away from your daughter because she's clearly going to be a success like her daddy, but an MMA fighter for your son as well, too. As a parent, what's it like seeing your son in there doing all that?
I enjoy it. I don't know if his mom does, but I like to see it because that used to be my dream when I was his age. I used to want to do that.
Really?
So that's how he got into it, is because one of my best friends now is a guy that I used to watch fight in the UFC when I was 21, 22. So now he is my son's coach.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's fun.
What about you? Do you do anything like that at all now?
Jiu-jitsu. I
Oh,
do
you do?
jiu-jitsu. Yes.
Really?
I've been doing it for like 20 years, but not 20 years consistent. It's been on and off. I'll do a year, take 2 years off, that kind of thing.
What are some of the benefits you found personally?
Big stress reliever, and it's you get to meet a lot of interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
You build some strong bonds, good friendships. You actually become kind of like family,
Absolutely. That's a very intense practice.
Yeah, it's nice. It's fun. You should do it. I don't know if you've ever tried it.
I've not tried it.
No, you should.
I might. Do I get the dojo and everything that goes with it too? Or is that
Yeah.
still the same thing?
Well, you can do it with that or without that. You can do gi or no gi. I do no gi.
No
So
gi.
just shorts and a t-shirt.
Did I say it wrong on jiu-jitsu? What did I call it?
It's a gi.
Oh, it's a gi.
Uh-huh.
I took karate once.
Yeah, how'd you do?
I enjoyed it a little bit, and then life got busy, and then it went away, and I left my gi at the studio.
Yeah. It's still hanging up, waiting for you to come back in, right?
Well, this is just a really fun time to get together, learn a little bit about how you like to spend your time on the weekends, maybe. What do you do?
We go to the movies, bowling.
Mm-hmm.
I have a small supplement brand, like proteins and vitamins and things like that.
Do you?
So I spend my time, trying to sell that stuff.
Well, okay, here's a plug for you. We're links on Amazon. What do you got? What do you do?
No, it's just you can go to the website. It's tabaosports.com.
And we'll have that in the episode notes. Spell Tabao for me, please.
TIBAU sports.com.
Very cool.
Yep.
Get a little e-commerce on the side.
If I get a sell, I'll split it with you.
All right. And if I buy it, I might join. Start taking some supplements. Well, you know what? I know you're very busy, but we're not going to let you go without asking you some questions. Here in 2025, this will be the 45th year Stevens Transport has been in business. Pretty amazing. We like to commemorate that by giving you about 45-ish seconds to answer as many random questions as possible.
I'm ready.
And if your answers are interesting, we might extend the clock and let you talk a little about that. Does that sound good? All right. So let the clock start now. What's the most ridiculous fear you ever had as a kid?
Probably school.
School.
Yeah, I never was too smart. So
You certainly have changed things since that time. Congratulations. If you could switch lives with any animal for a day, which one would it be and why?
I think a turtle. I just like to slow down a little bit.
And just hang out in the water.
Yeah.
And you got that safe shell just in case.
Yeah, there you go. Just poke my head out every now and then. See
What's going on? Worst haircut or hairstyle you've ever had?
Probably the one we were just talking about earlier.
Yeah.
The tall one, because I'm only 5'7", and my goal was to be 6 foot. The only way to get there was to grow my hair out. So
That's a real tall hairstyle.
Yeah.
That's when I first met you in season 1, and I thought it was pretty cool. You pulled it off pretty well. I say you bring it back. If you had to sing karaoke right now, what's your go-to song? What are you singing in the car?
We Are the Champions.
I love it.
Usually I sing that when I'm crying in my car on the way home after work. Yeah.
Just trying to build you back up.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So if you're at the red light out there in Military Parkway and you hear We Are the Champions, you know someone had a bad day. His name is Chris Brinkley. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right. Almost time to pump the brakes on episode 134. But before we do, we want to say congratulations to everybody who completed their leases in January. Let's tip that big 10-gallon Stevens cap in appreciation to Miguel Flowers, Larry Ruffin, Nyrea Grace, Alvin Gilnug, Daryl Skaw, Anthony Sclafani, Chelsea Johnson, David Shores, Herpit Transport LLC, Ruben Guzman, Chanston Bowman, D&K Transportation LLC, and Brian Tullock. Congratulations. Bonuses were celebrated in January. Way to go. Okay, there she is, episode 134 of the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. Please remember to follow, subscribe, like, download, and share this podcast from whichever podcast platform you're enjoying it from, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Audible, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. We are everywhere, and we would certainly appreciate it if you were to share this with someone else inside the industry so they too can learn about how awesome it is to work at Stevens Transport. My name is Tim Cicciarelli, otherwise known as Trucker Tim, and until next time, please be safe out there, and thank you so much for listening to the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast.